Hello and welcome to Fit With Us episode 34. Gary, how are we today?
So good, mate. So good. How you?
I'm good, mate. I love how it's July and both of us are sitting in jumpers.
Mate, it's wild, isn't it? Summer has definitely not began. Like, what the fuck is going on? I think we had, what, 4 days of hot weather a couple of months ago. That was your summer.
Do you know what, mate? It was actually, I think it was April because it was April 20th because Finn was born that day. I hadn't slept and the sun was splitting the skies and I was in the fucking hospital all day as well. I'm like, he's only born, he's ruined summer for me.
Mate, hopefully the weather starts picking up soon. It seems to be a pretty nice day here in G-Town, though. I don't know what it's like in Dundalk.
Raining, mate. It's raining. It actually gets to me. See when it's like good weather in Glasgow and it's like raining over here. Like, see if I phone my man, she's like, "Oh, you out in the sun?" I'm like, "Fuck off."
She forgets that you don't live up the road anymore.
Do you know what it is? Like, you wouldn't have thought that I could have moved somewhere that had, if not equally, maybe sometimes worse weather than Scotland.
Scotland or just Glasgow?
I'd say to be fair though, like because I think Aberdeen's closer to Oslo than it is London, so I think up north in Scotland have probably like that's abysmal. I've never been like up there for a period of time to know, but I would say seeing a sunny day in Glasgow, because where I am is beside the coast, you can have a sunny day here and you could be like sheltered from the wind, like going past a row of shops and you'll be fine. But you turn the corner and all of a sudden the wind scalps you, and you're like, you can't even trust a sunny day here, mate. It's like
Aye.
you need to leave a jacket. Like
Totally get it, man. I totally get it. Here, do you know what the sunniest place in Scotland is, or the
Dundee,
place
mate.
that?
Dundee. I've
All right
been
then. All
a
right
pub
then.
quiz champion here, mate.
All right then. Well, there goes my fucking fact of the day right out the window.
I could
Uh,
have let you finish that. I didn't even let you finish.
so what is it? What is like? What is the actual fact? Is it Dundee has the most sunshine per year in
Yeah,
Scotland or something like that?
most sunshine apparently. I think it's like a 10 on a dance floor where they've picked up before anybody else has and just claimed a title before they've like there's no data behind that outside of it going, yeah,
They've all just decided.
yeah, 100%. How's things with the
Uh,
house?
Getting there, mate. Oh man, here's one for the podcast. Speaking to a physio the other night because I've been experiencing some, we'll say, minor difficulties, shall we? Turns out I've got repetitive straining injury in both wrists from painting.
From what? Sorry, mate. Tell us where that's from.
uh, I mate, so my wrists have been. I've never experienced it like in my life. It's obviously just the unnatural movement in my wrists that I'm constantly doing because I'm on sailing duty, and the tiny wee muscles that I don't ever really use. Um, it's fucking sore.
To be honest, mate, I agree with you 100%. I don't think there's any exercise like renovating the house. And I ended up with muscle soreness that I've never had. I've deadlifted 266 kilos and felt sore backs doing fucking piling than I did deadlifting. Rotten.
100%. Like and see the constant up and down the ladders and steps and stuff as well. See my knees, they're taking a fucking beating as well. Um, so yeah, mate, it's looking good. We finally set a date for moving in, so it's all systems go. It's all hands on deck, so we can get the house in condition that we're able to live in. So the date is set for 26th of July, 2 weeks today.
Right.
Obviously, not 2 weeks today for people listening, but 2 weeks today for me and you recording.
Here, mate, I just realised it's a 12. Should you not be am I interrupting your marching time?
That's why I'm wearing orange.
Because you'll definitely get your steps in today.
Oh, that's only in Belfast, isn't it? Ours was last weekend.
Do you know what? Actually, last year I think it was we had to post something off for the wedding. So because we were on the border, we had to go up north to post something. Both and Jen and I realised or forgot it was the 12th. Didn't even think about it. We literally drove up north. It's only 20 minutes up across the border, but we got there and we're like, oh fuck. Like it was very apparent it was the 12th. There was a lot of flags and marches and everything about. And I was like, Jen's got an Irish reg on our thing, and we're going for. I was like, Jen, you need to fucking get out of here. There's no chance that we're surviving. So we survived the day last year, but
Good. Just as well, that wasn't one of the days that you chose to wear something Celtic.
I've done that before as well, to be honest, and I forgot about it. Like I was because I live in Republic, like in Glasgow, you rarely or certainly, like, I was always told by my mum, like, don't ever want you wearing Celtic, don't ever want you whatever. Did I ever tell you about the time I got asked to pick a kit out of the Argos catalogue when I was young? So
No.
didn't have any interest in football, didn't fucking know anything. I think it was maybe 6 or 7. And they gave me the Argos catalogue, maybe it's the Index catalogue, I don't know, it was a catalogue. But they were like, pick a football top you like. And they were all there. I think there was Manchester United, Chelsea, whatever. And out of all of the teams, I picked the Rangers top. And
Good man.
and guess what? My mum was like, no, you can't have that one. And I was like, what do you mean you can't have it? No, your dad, any other one except that. I was like, you fucking should have said that at the start. So ironically, the first top I ever picked was a Rangers top. I worked for Rangers for a short period of time. I was like, I'm more or less there, but I was going to say I forgot doing the bit. So down here in Republic of Ireland, like it's all very like again green white. There's nothing else. There's a JD Sport that has a Rangers top there. I don't know why you've got a Rangers top there because nobody's behind that top. But you go up north, obviously, it's the opposite. So because we're that close and sometimes I forget about these things, I was like, we were going to, like, there was a gym in Northern Ireland. I literally had Celtic shorts on at one point, and I was like, you're a fucking idiot, Kyle. Like, I was like, I need to go and stop and buy new shorts because I don't want the hassle of just people looking at me more so than anything
Aye.
else. I just got so complacent. I was like, oh, we'll just go to a gym. And I'm like, oh, that gym's actually across the border. I need to change the shorts.
Holy shit. That is fucking mental. And do you know what? You can definitely wear Rangers and Celtic tops in Glasgow. People do it all day, every day. But I would maybe say Celtic shorts in a Northern Irish gym
But
is a bit sketch.
do you not think, and I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, maybe it's my perception, maybe not, but do you not think Glasgow over even the last 10 or 15 years has changed? Whereas I feel that, like, maybe when I was 15, 16, it was a lot more, don't want to say frowned upon, but like if you were wearing a Celtic or Rangers top, there would be a lot more people looking at you nowadays, where it's more commonly accepted. There's more people going about in Celtic and Rangers tops. I think it's a lot less taboo. Would that be fair to say?
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Like I I'm of the age now where I don't really buy football kits. I don't really wear football tops, but I would feel perfectly fine wearing a Rangers top in and around Glasgow. Maybe no the East End on an Old Firm day, but other than that, like I wouldn't feel endangered in any way. I wouldn't feel like people are, fucking looking at me and staring at me and figuring out ways to sneak up behind me and batter my head in with a glass bottle of Iron Brew. But I totally agree with you. I think things have changed. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still rife in Glasgow. And just to clarify for the listeners, like I don't give a fuck about the Orange Walk. I'm a Rangers fan, and that's where it ends. I'm not religious. I don't march, whatever. I don't care about any of that. I just love Glasgow Rangers. I hate Glasgow Celtic. Don't hate Celtic fans. If Celtic were playing a game of fucking tiddlywinks, I would want nothing more for them, nothing more than for them to lose. Holy shit, man, that was a tongue twister this morning. Um, but yeah, I I do believe things have changed and for the better because the carry on that comes with football, especially on Old Firm Day, it's mental. But don't get me wrong, like see, growing up, I would say stuff that I didn't even know what I was saying. And I'm not going to repeat it on the podcast because that is definitely going to get us either cancelled or my heat kicked in.
It's fair enough, mate. I love how you said like you didn't care, you don't care about the orange walk, but then all of a sudden you were raging. The blood vessels started coming out the side of your head, going, "I don't hate Celtic, I don't hate them."
I
um,
don't I don't hate Celtic fans, but I do hate Glasgow Celtic
you
Football
you
Club.
calm yourself down, mate. You calm yourself. Let that blood pressure come down. And we have a topic we're going to talk about today. Yeah, we're going to
Yes.
get into it. So today's topic, Gary. What's today's topic?
Today's topic is all about non-scale victories. Now, shall we talk about what a non-scale victory is first, and then talk about what they actually are, what they can be?
100%. So, in my opinion, a non-scale victory. Well, let's look at what a scale victory would be. Scale victory is
Yes.
very obvious in the sense that if you're looking to lose or gain weight, basing all your success off of what the number says in the scale.
Yep. 100%. Simple, yet
Yep.
effective.
Yeah, yeah. I think a
So
lot.
I
Go on.
sorry, on you go.
I was just going to say a lot of people base their emotion and actually their reaction and success on the scales itself, and there is a lot more to it than that. And sometimes the scales aren't As much as I think they are a great tool when used properly and you know how to control them, I actually think they can be negative
Yeah.
for certain people at certain times when we're looking at certain different outcomes or we're looking at certain outcomes. That makes sense?
100%, especially people that have got a really poor relationship with them and a really bad emotional attachment to them. And yeah, I completely agree with you. A non-scale victory, however, is, in my opinion, it's any positive change or achievement, no matter how big or small, that's related to your health, fitness, and overall well-being that isn't just measured by body weight or the number on the scale.
Yeah, and actually, there was a conversation I had with someone actually just before this podcast where we were talking about scale weight, and they were like, "I don't want to gain weight," and I was like, "There's, I get the fear and apprehension around gaining weight and everything else, but I wouldn't view things as linear. There could be two different versions of Gary at 80 kilos and two different versions of Gary 80 kilos look completely different. Like the number on the scale would say the same thing, but the two different variations of Gary would be completely different based on Gary sitting, eating, watching Netflix and not doing a lot else versus Gary who goes to the gym and is progressive with his training a couple of times a week and eating a high amount of protein. Like there are two very different variations of you when it comes to weight, and like chasing zero on a scale is not something that we ever want someone to do.
100%. It can fuck you up mentally. It will fuck you up physically. So taking your attention away from the number on a wee digital screen, on a wee set of shitty digital scales,
Mine's are analog, mate. Mine's are analog.
analog. I've got a client in the gym who's got one that stands on and it's the wee ding.
The wee wobbler.
It's brilliant. But yeah, so taking your attention away from that and putting your focus into other things like non-scale victories, focusing on other indicators of your lifestyle, how you're progressing in the gym, etc., how you're eating, how you're feeling can be massive with regards to how you progress, and it can really keep you on track as well, especially when you feel like the scales are they working in your favor or they're not moving in the direction that you want them to go. Focusing on other indicators of progress and success is going to be absolutely incredible for you, not just physically but mentally as well, with regards to kind of staying on track and actually making progress.
Yeah, like before I done online coaching and stuff like that, like I never fucking weighed anybody when they came to the gym because firstly it's fucking pointless. Like if they had a signage before they came, they're gonna weigh heavier. Like it's like I'd never actually even push it on people. For me, it was like the purpose when I was a PT of getting people in the gym was actually to help coach them in the gym, adapt healthier habits and routines. As much as we didn't have the structures and systems we do now, like they're still very much like you can go back in messages I've got to clients back in 2015 was like, I want you to do a walk every evening with your dog, like, and I want you to go there. And as much as I knew the importance of that, like I never fucking knew what weight they were. Genuinely didn't have a fucking clue a lot of the time what weight they were. It was a case of like I was getting messages at times going, oh, that dress fits me better, or oh, I've went down
Mm.
a notch in my belt, or like I actually had one the other day. A great call with a guy the other evening where he literally was like, oh, genuinely changed my life. I think he was 36, and he's like, I have never taken a picture of myself with my top off in my life. Like genuinely never taken a picture. Is like the one that I'd sent to you the other day. I've now got that picture up on my wall. But I was going to say
Aye,
I've never
you're going to have repetitive straining injuries soon, aren't you?
100%, mate. Sitting in my hand as we speak. But, it was like I've never taken a picture of myself with my top off, and I'm like, for me, does he give a fuck what he's weighted now? As much as we measure that, does he give a fuck that week that if he's weight and it didn't actually go down that week? Like, does he give a fuck? No, because you know what? He's looking and he's feeling sharp.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's for me, that's what it's about more so than how much you weigh on a scale. And don't get me wrong, if you're like morbidly obese, for example, the number on the scale is going to be important.
You've got
But
weight to lose.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, just for, Joe Blogs who's just trying to go about his everyday life, just feel a wee bit better, move a wee bit better. We get so focused on, right, I need to lose weight to feel better. I need to get lighter on the scales to feel better. And, you know, I would say 8, 9 times out of 10, getting lighter doesn't make you feel better because one, it's fucking hard to lose weight. You need to essentially starve your body of the nutrients and calories that maybe not the nutrients, the calories that it needs. And you're going to be tired, you're going to feel fatigued, you're going to be grumpy, you're going to be hungry. So it's fucking hard, and like I say, sometimes it doesn't lead to you actually feeling better in the grand scheme of things. And then you go, fuck this, I don't want to feel like this anymore. And you go back to kind of old bad habits. But like I say, if you can take that focus away from just the number and focus on other things, like your overall well-being, then that's when you start to see the progress really happening. Should we give some specific examples? We are going to give some specific examples, but is there anything that you want to dive into before we go into some specific examples?
No, mate, you fire on the specifics.
I know, sounds like fucking Sean Connery there when I was trying to spit it out, eh? I mean, a couple of examples just off the top of my noggin. So, how is your how's your energy levels? Are you feeling more energetic throughout the day? Are you feeling less fatigued? How is your body feeling in terms of pain? Are you less painful? Are you Can you get up and down the stairs without having to hold on to the banister? Are you a lot less out of breath when you make it up the stairs? Do you no need to take a 5 seconds rest when you make it to the top of the stairs? That's just two. I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's so many non-scale victories that we can focus on. We would be here all day giving the examples, but that's two right off the bat that makes such a big difference. The scales might not be going down if you're looking to lose weight, but if you're getting up out of bed every morning and you're feeling fucking great and you're ready to attack the day, that is a huge non-scale victory in itself, straight away.
Yep, I would go as far to say as I was actually playing about with my entire process. It's not something I typically do with everybody coming in because I think it's important that people, as best we can, hit the ground running and get a good amount of quantifiable results. But I think I was playing about with actually just doing a 2 week period of time where we actually look at just getting digestion on point where again they're going to the toilet regularly because a lot of people come in the door, they're not going to the toilet regularly. Like if we can look at, is your nutrition better and your digestion better? 100%. Or do you have
Mhm.
more energy availability as you touched on? Yes, 100%. Is that a good thing? 100%. I've like people who are getting better sleep as a byproduct of, like, I know simple
Yep.
things, but it's like what creates long lasting change isn't changes in the scales, it's the behavioral changes. So it's the going out, and I can't stress this enough. See, at winter time, and I keep on fucking banging on about it. A lot of people don't have energy, don't have motivation, don't want to do anything because it's dark and we're used to hibernation. Do you know what would be fucking great for you? Going out a 10-minute walk in the daylight, like so that your body actually starts to regulate itself. It makes a massive difference. You don't think a lot about it, but genuinely just go out in your lunch break, go and get some fucking daylight, and it makes a massive difference. So it can be simple things like that. Like you're talking about, like, I'm not claiming to have the cure to depression and anxiety, but a lot of the time, like, movement can change your mindset. So, like, or your mind state, sorry. So, like, literally just going out and getting
Mhm.
some movement can very much, like, will that, again, there's another thing. Do you feel less anxious? Do you feel like more like positivity towards your future self? Like these are all small non-scale victories. Some of them are quantifiable on a chart as to, like, 10 is the upmost point and 1 is the bottommost point. A lot of them aren't even quantifiable in the sense, like, you can't quantify what happiness is, what motivation is. But at the same time, if we can see that there's more of that based on what your behaviours you're doing, 100%, that's a
Aye.
non-scale victory.
100%. And just touching on you saying about getting out into the daylight and stuff as well, that can help regulate your natural circadian rhythm as well, just because it helps to regulate your natural melatonin.
Yep.
So just getting yourself out, stop locking yourself away, um, feeling sorry for yourself, get yourself out for a walk, get your melatonin to where it's supposed to be, and then you are going to start sleeping better. You are going to start feeling more energetic. You are going to start, wanting to get out of bed in the morning. Um, that will then in turn kind of lead into, feeling a wee bit more confident in yourself, feeling a wee bit more happier, which then can lead to you moving a wee bit more. Actually want to go for a walk. You know it helps you, you know it benefits you. Off the back of going for a walk, your clothes are starting to feel a bit looser. You are starting to improve your cardiovascular health. You're starting to feel a bit fitter just from starting off by going for a 10-minute walk at lunchtime. It snowballs, it leads into the next habits, the next habit, the next habit. It's essentially habit stacking. And all of this is taking your mind and focus away from just the number on the scales.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like it can positively impact the number on the scales, 100%. I've got a good example of one of my clients in the gym. She had never been in a gym before in her life, never lifted a weight. She used to play netball when she was a teenager, but for 20 years, just she didn't really let herself go. She wasn't in bad nick, but she just felt shite, essentially. Um, Started with me in January. She's now 1 pound off of 2 stone, but see, 2 stone down. But see, at the start of her journey, she was really laser focused on the scales, and she was worried like, what am I doing wrong? Why is the scales not moving? I've been sticking to my steps. I've been eating my calories, eating my protein. Sorry, but she wasn't getting it on point. She wasn't nailing it right. She was too focused on the skills, and if the skills weren't going the way she wanted, it was then bleeding over into, well, I'm not going to go for a walk because what's the point? I'm just going to eat what I want today because there's no point in me trying if the scales aren't moving. But I was super persistent with her, and she honestly, like God love her, she fucking tried her hardest to nail these habits because I was saying that's what's going to make the biggest difference. Now she hits 10K steps every day without even trying. She gets up and goes for a walk. Her clothes are baggy on her. She sticks to her calories. She sticks to her protein. She went on holiday. She went on a 2 week cruise. She didn't track. She intuitively ate. She came back. She was a few pounds heavier, as expected. You're on holiday, but she didn't let that spike in the scales affect her negatively. I set her back a wee bit. She got a wee bit flustered, and she's like, "Oh, 3 pounds heavier," and I'm like, "So you probably just need a big shit." And then right back to the habits. And now she's absolutely flying. She feels amazing. She's moving great. Her joint pain has decreased massively because she works in the hospital, so she's on her feet a lot, moving, 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 bending up, down. And so her joints take a bit of a pounding. The pain is decreased massively. So because we've taken the focus away from whatever the scale says, we've educated her on using food as fuel, and really dialing in these better habits. She's 2 stone down, which is absolutely incredible. And she said to me the other week there, like, I never ever thought I would get to this point. She was like, I was trying so hard to just do 2 stone as quickly as possible rather than making it as sustainable and as enjoyable as possible too. Like she loves coming to the gym now. She's fitted right in with the community. Like if you went to see her training, you would not think that she had never been in a gym her whole life before January this year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I would back up and sense that I'd say that the outcome is an illusion. Like you look at the 2 stone and realistically, like you can force that. Like realistically, if you're clever enough about how you can manipulate a scales, I could today just eat ice cream because there's no fibre in it and have 2,000 calories worth of ice cream and probably drop about 1.5 kilos tomorrow because it's just passed through me. Like that's you can force like weight loss. Like you can also do like low calorie diets and you can like bleed somebody dry doing that, but that's not the outcome that you're looking for. No wonder a lot of people rebound from that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you actually focus on the small tasks that you do on a daily basis, that's what I often try and say to people. It's like if you're people sometimes get so fixated on an end destination, and if you're
Mhm.
to run a marathon, you keep on thinking about how far you've got to go. I'm like, you're never going to get there. But realistically, what we think about is just trying to put one foot in front of the other, and ultimately you will get there. It's just how do we sustain that? How do we make that more enjoyable for you? Instead of thinking about you've got 42 kilometers to go, can we think about like how do we make the next kilometer easier for you? How do we get you to enjoy that? Can we put a wee podcast on that you can listen to that makes it
Mhm.
like easier? And when you start to get those little behaviors on, that's where things become easy. And I love, and you can always, again, being a coach, the reason you become a better coach isn't always just because of results, but you get better results because you can identify patterns. And for me, when I start to see patterns of people where they are struggling to get into behaviors, but how to make those behaviors easier. And when you start to see that transition is in someone going, I'm getting my steps in every day before work, and it's feeling easy now. And I'm starting to listen to like a podcast or taking like the wife a walk or whatever. Like you start to go, this is going to be no matter what happens. Like if their weight goes up 1 week, it's going to be okay because they're good with the behaviors. They will get to where they need to be.
Hmm.
Where, and I think it's important when we're talking about non-scale victories, like where the scales would be detrimental to people, and I think this is where certain it's a mindset thing a lot of the time. It can be, and I've been in the position, I know how the scales work, is it's very difficult to do, and we always work on like positive feedback loops or negative feedback loops. It reinforces things. It's a defense mechanism. Like if you're doing something, like you put your hand in fire, it's sore, like fucking telling you not to do it again. Whereas you like again, you eat, it tells you, it gives you endorphins. We're feeling good, hence the reason you want to do it again. But when you do all the right things and you step on the scales, and all of a sudden it says that you're the same weight you were Monday as Friday, like that can fuck with your brain, and you're going, well, the
Yeah.
scales don't work for me. And a lot of the time there is a knowledge issue there a lot of the time, but there is also the fact that for some people, you are going to have, you go to the gym, inflammation's a little bit higher. Like, again, I've said this to people as well. I actually spoke to somebody yesterday about getting them set up, and I was like, for the first week or so, you're getting back into the gym for the first time you have, and like they're just getting over pregnancy. So, like, you're going back to the gym for the first time you have in almost a year. Like, you're going to have muscle inflammation. Like, you've
Hmm.
got a good training history, your muscles are going to start to fill with swelling, glycogen. Like, there is a chance that for the first 2 weeks, your weight's going to go up, down, round the corner. I still want you to weigh yourself, but let's not get too caught up in that. And that's where we particularly would put the emphasis on, like, their weight might go down, who knows? But realistically, I don't fucking know. I've been doing this for years and I don't fucking know what the weight's going to do. Like, I know that long term the weight is going to go down. Like,
Yeah.
I'm confident of that because I know how to do that for them. But I know in the first 2 weeks, not a fucking clue what's going to happen.
Aye.
But that's where we look at, how do we get you eating 3 to 5 meals a day? How do we make sure that you're getting like 5 to 7 portions of fruit and veg? How do we make sure that you're getting 2.5 liters of water? How do we make sure that you're getting 8 to 12K steps? How do we make sure that you're starting to do movement patterns that will help again? How do we make sure that, like, when we do all those things and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I already feel like I'm a wee bit firmer. And like a lot of PTs hate when that's said, oh, I mean, that's not quantifiable. Doesn't fucking matter. Like it is a thing. Like me and you've both been to the gym, and like we come back from holidays and you feel flat and you feel like shit, and then all of a sudden you've been to the gym, you get a wee pump on, you're like, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. There, a wee bicep.
100%. I completely agree with everything you said. I've got a good example of that as well. I'm going to use another client in the gym too. Very new to weightlifting. Um, her strength. She's only been with for 6. This is week 7 that we're in. Her strength has just skyrocketed. Like from starting from squatting a barbell, she's now squatting 35, 40 kilo. Now that might not seem like a lot for people that have been going to the gym for a long time, but doubling the weight that you're squatting in 6 weeks is pretty fucking good. It's really, really good. Now she's only lost 2.5 kilo in 6 weeks. And she's worried. That's 5.5 pounds. That's fucking insane. That is amazing progress. Um, but she's worried that she's doing something wrong because she feels like she should be losing it quicker. But I explained to her, you're very new to this. Your body is going to be going through all sorts of fucking emotions. You're going to be holding on to water. Your muscles are going to be swelling. And basically said everything that you said to the new client that you just signed up as well. And it seemed to settle her nerves a wee bit. It seemed to calm her down a wee bit when she explained to her, kind of put it into perspective of why it's happening and what's happening, and just like also telling her that 2.5 kilos in 6 weeks is brilliant. Like that is really fucking amazing progress, especially for somebody that isn't overweight or obese. Do you know what I mean? So it is about focusing more on what's happening outside of the scales because she was really, plus she was only weighing herself once a week. Even though I asked her to weigh every day, she was only weighing herself once a week. So she could have lost more. And we just don't know that because she might have weighed on a Sunday after having a heavier, more calorie dense meal on a Saturday night.
Yep.
So we went back to kind of weighing every day now. I've really kind of got that in there that we want to be weighing every day just to see how the weight's trending, but that it's not all about scales. I asked her how she was feeling. I'm feeling good. I've got more energy. I want to start running. I'm like, this is fucking great. That's what we want to be focusing on more than only 2.5 kilos in 6 weeks.
So I would say with that, like, firstly, she's leaner and stronger
Yeah.
in a significantly short period of time. And as you
Yep.
said, I don't know what weight she is, but it probably sounds in percentage of her body weight, she's dropped a significant amount in a short period of time. Um, to go on that as well, because I know sometimes, like, generally for me, I'm like, I fucking hate when people like have a call with me and go, "Oh, the scales don't work for me." I'm like, well, that's not entirely true. The scales work for 99.9% of people. There are some factors and some people I don't weigh or don't ask to weigh themselves. And I think a lot of that is down to the impact it does have on their ability to put
Yeah.
inputs in. And well, genuinely, I think it's important to talk about weighing yourself on a scales. It's easier for some people than it is others. Like you're the people it's going to be really difficult for. Like newbies that are don't have a massive like amount of weight. There's a difference between a person who weighs 110 kilos and is 5 foot versus again someone who's again 6 foot and 70 kilos. Like they might both have body fat to lose, but the percentage of body fat they have to lose will be different, and the rate at which the scales will change will be different as well. The more important one is anyone with hormonal imbalances. It is extremely difficult to predict trends, especially in a short period of time. You really need to talk about, like, you're talking 8 to 12 weeks to identify any proper trends and how that's actually to be expected. And again, as I've touched on earlier, like if you are doing everything right and you're getting negative feedback from something, of course you're not going to feel like you want to do it. So for that, like I'm like, as much as the scales help me, I understand sometimes that the limitation is it's not helping them. And for that, I will take it out. And usually I take it out for a period of time. It's not gone forever. It's just more so let's
Yeah.
adapt healthier habits and routines. Ironically, I did have somebody 2 years ago, last year. She was quite similar to women, digestive issues, hormonal issues, there was issues. There's a lot of issues. But with that said, focused on PT as well. So like she prioritized training. It was just more so the fact that our nutrition didn't serve her. But like when we first started, I mean, she lost weight. Then all of a sudden, it's like when it went back up for like a week because she was having hormonal issues and digestion issues. She was going to say shitting herself, but that's probably the opposite of what she was doing. She wasn't shitting herself. So I was like, you know what, we might actually, because it would go on as many cycles. I seen what that week or two done to her when that happened. I'm like, the person that's turning up is very different to the person that turns up outside of that. So we actually took the scales out of it for a period of 6 months. Ironically, when I got her to weigh herself again after 6 months, I think she dropped like a stone and a half. And I'm like, it's mad that when we took the scales out for a period of time. But again, it is important to say that is few and far between, and you need to be adaptive to whoever you are. But if you're listening to this and you think the scales don't work for you, they do work for you. But there is a point in which that either you're self-sabotaging well subconscious. It's very difficult when you're in that to know if you're self-sabotaging things. Because again, we all want short-term gratification.
Mhm.
If you feel like you're weighing yourself every day for a week and you're not getting the results you want, actually, if you probably looked at the data and started to identify trends, probably would find it is working for you. The problem is you're getting upset on a Saturday that you don't feel there's any like progress, and you're going, your partner, or your husband, or your wife is going, right, I'm going to get a takeaway. Do you fancy it? The want to have to say no to that is far less now that you're not getting the feedback. So you end up
Yeah.
saying yes, and then all of a sudden you've confirmation bias.
Aye, 100%. You mentioned digestion issues with that previous client there, and I would say having worked with, in the past year, hundreds and hundreds of people over over the kind of three intakes of the online group that I work for, like that is one of the biggest improvements that I've noticed out of the majority of people is that they're all saying my digestion is so much better. I'm more regular. It's a lot more solid. And I think that is a huge non-scale victory. That is a huge indicator to show that you're moving in the right direction with your food, with your water, with your sleep. So yeah, even though it might not seem like a big thing, it's a really, really big thing when you actually take notice of it and actually I'm not going to say track it. You don't want to be tracking your digestion, but just recognizing it. Are you less bloated? Do you have regular, bowel movements? Is there reduced discomfort? in and around that area as well. So yeah, I think digestion's a massive one to look for with non-scale victories too. But I'll tell you my favourite non-scale victory that I had a couple of weeks ago, right? I had a client say to me that she's now able to shave her legs without any struggle. Which for me, like small ones like that, small wee victories like that, some people just being able to bend an entire shoe, it's a non-scale victory. It might seem so small, but that is massive in the grand scheme of things. And it's wee things like that that you do want to be focusing on, but it's so easy to not take notice of them, and it's so easy to actually forget about them as well, unless you know what you're looking for. So we challenged people to this a few episodes ago, like write down every single day, write down 3 wins for that day. See when you get it on paper, see when you actually have to ask yourself, right, what did I do today that I wasn't able to do a couple of weeks ago? That's when you start to take notice of all these non-scale victories, because without doing that, you forget about all the non-scale victories, and you do end up focusing on what's not went right, or the number on the scale not moving, or fuck, I had a takeaway last night, now I feel like shit, I fucked it, I'm off the wagon, so I may as well have a blowout today. But let's say you did have a Chinese on a Saturday night, yeah, your partner came in, busy day at work, he's a wee bit stressed, let's get a Chinese, bang. Still write down your 3 wins for that day, because I can guarantee you've still had a much better day than you're giving yourself credit for, and a much better day than you actually realise you've had. We are always our own worst critics. I'm fucking bad for it. Uh, if it for me, and I know it's not the best kind of mindset to have, but I'm always striving for perfection, and I tell my clients, stop striving for perfection, strive for progress. That is something that I've been working on myself. But I now recognize other aspects of my life that I've improved on. Let's say I did fuck it and I got a Domino's, whatever. When I didn't need to get a Domino's, I was just a wee bit hungry. I could have had a bit of chicken and rice. I was just being lazy. I now know to look back on my day and be like, well, do you know what? I lifted 150 kilo deadlift today. I benched 85 kilo today, and I was able to run a 5K. I'm just pulling them off the top of my head, and I was able to run a 5K the
That was a
other
busy
day.
that
So
was a busy day for you, mate.
it
A
was a
busy
very
day.
busy day. Um, so that for me was 3 non-scale victories, even though I know I'm going to be heavier on the scale tomorrow because I had a Domino's tonight. So getting it down on paper and recognizing your small victories again can go such a long way in keeping you on track and keeping you progressing.
I think there's a lot to be said about being both reflective and future setting as well, because
Hmm.
as you touched on, there's like the perfection mindset, like you want to feel that you're doing everything absolutely spot
Yeah.
on. And if you're not, then it's like people go from if it's not optimal, it's a fucking car crash, and there's
Hmm.
nothing there in between. And yeah, I think 100% you're right. I think I used to have I think it was mission ready notepad. You wrote down the 3 things at the end of each day saying what you were grateful for or what you'd accomplished, and then you had to write the next day what the person you wanted to turn up to be. And to be fair, there was a lot more to it, which ended up becoming a non-thing for me to stop doing it. But I actually still, as best I can, especially actually ironically when I'm having tougher times, I then like, right, I need to double down on the things that I'm doing well. When I'm doing well, I don't do it as much as I should, which probably would help. But like actually just talking about like, yes, I done this correct, this well, and this, because me and you are hypocritical. I'm just going to use the word cunts. I've now used it, hypocritical cunts. So we will often, again, we want people to be better than we are. And it's not a case of being
Hmm.
hypocritical, and as much as I've just called this hypocritical currents, it's more of a case of you want that you can identify patterns and what that leads to. And I think a lot of the time it is giving what would be optimal advice based on the person's circumstances, but understanding that that might not always be achieved 100%. And that's okay. That is
Hmm.
okay.
That is okay, and I think people struggle to come to terms with not being 100% is okay. Like people really struggle to understand that and digest it and accept it, and it's hard. Like it took me ages to really accept it. I mean, obviously, I had a lot of help from, like, say, yourself and stuff, guiding me through that. And that's what us as coaches kind of try and help you with, like, just accepting that not being 100%, 100% of the time is perfectly okay, because it's normal, it's realistic, it's sustainable. If you're aiming for 100% all the time and you don't get it, you're going to be bitterly disappointed, more so than not. And it's fucking hard work being perfect. It's hard work being perfect.
I try and make it look easy, mate, but no.
Not like so. What would you say? What would you say are the most important non-scale victories that we want clients to be looking for? Not even clients, just anybody in life, any listeners. What would you say is the most important non-scale victories that you would say to people to focus on more so than others?
Mine, mine's like if we're talking about like, I find this. I think for myself, like taking away from victories, like behavior changes are always a big thing for me.
Mhm.
And like I've touched on that to recap on that. I think that if someone said to me after a week that they hit their steps 7 out of 7 days and they got their nutrition into the best of their ability 7 out of 7 days. And what I mean by the nutrition and their steps into the best of their ability, there may have been days where they went under, there may have been days where they went over, but they come to the table with everything they've done and they're completely open and honest about what's went well and what's not went well. For me, that is genuinely, we will get success. We will get there. Like I've on the opposite end of that, like, and I will get back to answering your question more directly in a second, but I've had people who've dropped weight and it's not always down to them doing the correct things. And a lot of the time when I look at that, I get a bit worried. I'm like, yeah, I can see that the behaviour changes aren't quite there. And as much as whilst this might be a good week or two and I can predict that, I know there's going to be a point coming where you're not doing enough of the right behaviours. We're going to see a massive tail off. So for me, it's like when we see those things, you are then inevitably going to get the fact that, like, if you've gone to the gym 3 times a week and followed the plan, like even when you didn't want to, even though they weren't your best sessions, I know that in 2 weeks' time it's in the post, it's coming that you're going to go, had a great workout, I felt great, like I now can lift a heavier weight. I'm like, that's in the post. Like I know from the behaviors you're doing, that's in the post. Like I know that you feeling better in your t-shirts is coming as a byproduct of you doing your nutrition, your steps, and your training, not to like the perfect level every time, but just actually turning up when you don't want to turn up. I know that that's coming. So for me, it's all behavioural. Like you do those behaviour changes, irrespective of what the scale says. It's all in the post for me. It's happening. It's coming. What about yourself?
Aye. I would I always tell people to focus on, energy levels is a big one for me. Like, how are you actually feeling in yourself? Do you feel more energetic? Do you feel uh, more confident? Do you feel like your clothes are fitting better? There's a way, did we talk about this in the podcast before? The kind of the old jeans technique with tracking your progress. I think we might have, like when we just started, when before we were top 5% of podcasts, getting yourself into an old pair of jeans and using them to track your progress. These are obviously massive non-scale victories as well. Like feeling your clothes get looser is mental. Or if you're a guy looking to bulk up a wee bit, feeling your sleeves getting a wee bit snugger. So yeah, things like that. Clothing fit is definitely a big one for me. Energy levels, mood as well. Like um, mood and anxiety. Like exercise is so good for anxiety levels. Not for people that are very new to the gym, especially kind of females who get anxious thinking about going to the gym. But once you actually get into a routine, get into a rhythm, it can really help improve your mood. And I was listening to a podcast the other day there, and they were talking about they done this was in mice, this wasn't in humans, right? So they done this research in mice where they traumatized the mice like with electric shocks. They would put them into a dark room and would give them electric shocks. So then these mice were getting like PTSD off the back of these shocks. Then they would let them go and run on a wheel. So they would separate them. One half of the group would go and run on a wheel, one half of the group wouldn't. And then they found that the group that ran on the wheel, they were more likely to go back into that room that was giving them the shocks. And they think it's because they were able to exercise their stress and their anxiety and the PTSD side of things away. Now, I know I want to talk about PTSD, but I just found it really interesting, and it would be, you know, it would be interesting to see kind of studies done on humans, but we can't exactly lock humans in a room and start giving them electric shocks to give them PTSD. But
Think back to the good
definitely,
old days. You used to be able to fucking do that stuff. Political correctness came along.
definitely mood, energy levels, clothing fit, and just how you're feeling physically. So is your strength improving? Like I said, yeah, you able to get up and down the stairs without feeling out of breath, without having to take a break halfway up, halfway up the stairs. So, um, indicators like that to show that you are making progress and things are moving in the right direction. And like you said, feeling better in your t-shirt, feeling more confident in your own skin. That is in the post if you can really dial in your steps, your nutrition, your water, your sleep, and focusing on other things rather than just that fucking number on the scale. Because it doesn't mean anything.
I would just add to that, it's a slightly different topic, but I think you brought it up, so I'm going to touch on it. Like anxiety and gym anxiety when it comes to like anything like that, and you touched on like how that can massively help your mindset. I would think that any part of being confident, you need to expose yourself to things that are uncomfortable. So understanding it's going to
Hmm.
be uncomfortable at some point. But the finished article that you're comparing yourself to, so for instance, if you've seen somebody running a marathon, like of course it's overwhelming if you don't run to look at somebody doing a marathon. It's fucking 42.2 kilometers. Whereas like for you to get to that point, or for the person to get to that point, they've ran a 10-minute run. They've ran a 10-minute run whilst jogging, whilst walking, whilst being out of breath and dying. They've then went to a 2K, to a 5K, to a 10K, to a 15K, to a 20K, to a half marathon, to a full marathon. Like there's been stages, and again, like Shannon at the moment, like she in her head had, like you asked Shannon 3 years ago, she despised running, couldn't run. You asked Shannon 6 weeks ago, she didn't, but she's seen other people doing it, and it scared the fuck out of her. But she literally started with a 5 minutes on the treadmill at the end of each session, thinking that she was going to die of heart failure, to the point where she's ran a 5K and actually a fairly decent time for her first ever 5K last week. And I said to her, like, her and one of our mates that's also part of the team was talking about doing a high rocks, and I'm like, whilst that seems overwhelming at the moment, the fact that you're building that up, that's where confidence will build. And when you start to realize that you can do things you never thought you could do, and this is where I think the gym's powerful, the way that you turn up in life is different. Like, I don't think I would achieve half the things I did right now in life if I hadn't had what I've done in health and fitness to do that, because I look at things and I'm like, I don't look at things and get intimidated by them anymore. I look at things and go, right, there's a way to get there. It's just sets and reps of getting there, and I need to expose myself to stresses that if I expose myself to too much stress straight away, I'm going to shit the bed. Whereas if I expose myself to the smallest amount and just get used to that on a week by week basis and find a way to build it, then 100% you'll get there. So
Aye.
I think when it comes to, you're talking about going to the gym, and this is a podcast, the entire podcast for a different day, is it's not a case of you going to the gym and doing the workout that you see everybody else doing at the moment, because realistically, it's a good chance they don't fucking know what they're doing anyway. But it's a case of, can you get on, and I do this with people as well, can we look at just starting you getting into the gym? Can we look at getting you on a treadmill for 10 or
Mhm.
15 minutes and literally go to 3 different machines that are a push, a pull, and possibly a leg movement, and spending 15 minutes doing resistance training? Cool, we've done that. Can we now start to look at putting 5 exercises in as opposed to 3? Can we then look at going to dumbbells? And then you find the likes of what I put up on Instagram yesterday about Martin. You've got a guy who was 136 kilos who's now lost 30 kilos and gone to the gym for the first time and doesn't recognize himself a year later, because it's not because if I told him in July last year that he was going in a year's time, like lose 30 kilos, be feeling confident in his clothes, go to the gym. If I told him then he wouldn't be able to handle it, he'd be shitting himself. He'd be like, that's never going to happen for me. Whereas
Aye.
it was small, incremental, non-scale victories along the way. Belt feeling looser, t-shirts feeling better, sleeping better, his back feeling better. Like there's weeks where he's genuinely going, oh, I just feel shit about myself
Mhm.
because I've not lost weight. And I'm like, yeah, mate, but you've still got a significant amount that you have lost. Your t-shirts are feeling better. You're like, everything is looking better. And as a byproduct of that, he's lost over 30 kilos. And that's where confidence comes. And that's how you make progress outside of anything else.
Aye, 100%. And do you know what? Like, you are going to have weeks where you do feel shit. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's part of life. You're going to have weeks where you feel like you're maybe taking a step backwards, or it's not been the most optimal week. And that's, again, that's okay. It is going to happen. Getting over that or accepting that is when you're going to start seeing those changes, because you're developing that relationship with yourself, you're developing that understanding with yourself that it's okay to be a human fucking being.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that is something that you need to remember. We're a human being at the end of the day. We experience emotions, we experience stresses. Sometimes life is going to throw us some shit curveballs that we need to deal with in the moment. And it's okay to not be 100% all of the fucking time.
100%. And yeah, I couldn't put it any better than that myself without painting a soul tire on my face. So yeah,
I know that was my William Wallace speech, but what can you hear a bear barking?
I can, mate. Yeah.
It barks at his own shadow. But like I think that was I don't know if the fuck he's barking it. I think that was a good thing to end things on. I know you're in a bit of a rush, so I will let you get off. Is there anything else that you want to add just before we sign off?
No, mate. I think we're good with that. I think that was productive. Hopefully, you got something from that. Gary, where can they find you?
Instagram at gmac_health and fitness. Kyle, where can they find you?
Instagram, Kyle_biofitness1.
Excellent. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Bear saying bye as well.
Oh,
And
here, was it here just before we go? England in the Euros final. What we saying?
oh, see, this is going to be out by the time they play.
No, it's not because it's a Sunday night and it's 8 o'clock. So ours is going to be out 3 hours before. So if you're on this and you do it straight away, you're not going to, you'll listen to this before England play.
Aye, that's what I mean. So the podcast will be out
Oh, yeah,
before the
sorry.
game.
Yeah.
Aye, aye. So, yes, Spain. Oh no, this will be out first, isn't it? No, come on, Spain.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, yeah. I've always been partly Spanish.
Is that where the Watson comes from?
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, Watson. Yeah, it's like McAllister that plays for Argentina. Um, what was I going to say? I do find this difficult to talk about because I actually have more English clients than I've ever had in my life, and I'm like, there's a large percentage of them. And obviously, with that, it's very difficult to like not be. Do you know what? I said this to my mum the other day though. I've got that much going on in my life right now that like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, England getting to the Euros final would crush me. I'd be like, my entire week would be ruined thinking about it. Whereas I'm actually got so much going on right now. I'm like, oh fuck it. Like if it happens, it happens. I'm not even in the same country anymore. I'm just going to have to turn the TV off for a couple of weeks.
Nah, Viva España, said in the most Glaswegian accent I can put on. Aye, come
But
on, Spain.
the most ironic thing that Scotland, one of the biggest teams that they beat in the way to the Euros, was Spain, and Spain go on to win the Euros.
I know.
And I fucking hope they do, but I actually just feel I've said it since the start. The squad that England and France have the best two squads on paper.
Mhm.
And to be fair, it's England's route to the final and the confidence that they're due at least turning up for a game. Like, and I think that yeah, that unfortunately probably will. And I actually see the Euros have been shite so far. Every game has been outside of this first game where we got spanked. There's been no high scoring games, and we
Mhm.
didn't exactly enjoy the high scoring game that there was. So I do have a feeling it's going to start with a high scoring game. I've got a feeling it's going to end with a high scoring game. I don't know who's going to win it. I think both teams are capable. I think though it's going to be 4-1 to either of the sides. Don't know.
Jesus Christ, that is a big scoreline. Well, hopefully it is for entertainment purposes. Hopefully it's Spain for fuck the England purposes. But no, I'm joking. I love all my English listeners. We have about two, I don't know. I'm guessing.
We've not got two anymore.
No good to anyone. No, I'm only joking. I'm hoping Spain do it. But yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yes, mate. Cool. Well, look, I was going to say enjoy, but I'll be watching it from behind the couch. But
Aye.
right, mate, I'll get. Cheers for listening. Speak to you later. Bye bye.
Bye.